what's up, Ward Wrestling here? Man, what an awesome show we have for you today. Another one. I'm here with my man, Joe Russo, or J.R. Casares, as some people know him. And my man's the wrestling coach at Dearborn Divine Child Wrestling up in Dearborn, Michigan. He's also a coach over at Beat the Streets Detroit. And he's been really, really involved in the wrestling community there. And it's been cool. We had him on, I don't know, 4 years ago when he was starting to build his program out there, and he's back today. So welcome. What's up, JR?
Hey, Dan, how you doing? And thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man, I remember back then when we were going through COVID, you had just kind of started to get into all this out there, and you were really trying to help kids. Um, kids who couldn't afford it, and kids that couldn't get in the wrestling room, and you were trying to build something for that. And now we're over at Dearborn Divine as the head coach, and you're also in Beat the Streets. Man, it's been a heck of a 4 years for you, huh?
Yeah, it's been a roller coaster ride for sure. As I'm sure most people can relate to, whether you're in the sport of wrestling or not. It's just been kind of a crazy time. So, yeah, we've been very blessed and fortunate. I think last time we chatted, I was just getting going with my other nonprofit that I work with the System Afflicted Youth Independence Network and No Bad Youth and all that, which I'm still doing. We're partnered up with Beat the Streets, and then also the local Little League here, and doing some other things in the community. Not wrestling specific all the time, but we do help support the wrestling programs. But just being a divine child, that was been an awesome experience from day one. Had a great support over there from administration all the way down to parents in the community, and we built that program up. We won district championships first year there, and then this last year we made it to the finals, but we were giving up. We had 6 open weights. It's kind of tough to compete as a team. When you're giving up that many points. But our guys individually, made so much progress just in the last year that we're already looking at a few of them to get out and start competing. On some of these, sending them at some of these national tournaments, and start talking about college and things like that. So it's been really exciting to see the wrestling community grow just in the Divine Child network, and then going on to Beat the Streets. I found them kind of almost as a fluke. Somebody had mentioned that they were. I didn't even know that there was a chapter in Detroit. I'm familiar with New York and some of the other ones. I had no idea that they were here, and then when I found out, reached out, and it was really simple. That that team over there is amazing. They've been doing great things for well over 10 years now. So just joining that team and what they've been doing, it's been really incredible. And to see what we have planned for the future is even more exciting.
Yeah, I mean, Michigan wrestling is unbelievable. I mean, even the whole belt around Detroit. I mean, all you guys that are out there. I mean, with obviously Mario Mason and what he's doing out there, and Lee, David Morgan up there. I mean, you got a lot of places that you can tap into with your kids and your club kids, and man, do you guys get a chance to get involved with some of these other larger clubs out there? Get to go out and kind of compete against them, and how involved are they with Beat the Streets, and do they obviously get involved and help out as well?
Yeah, for sure. We're partnered with Cliff Keen Wrestling Club, so they just a couple weeks ago sent out Jaden Cox to talk to a group of our kids. That was really awesome. And then I know Mitch Hancock, Mario Flores, all those guys have come in and held clinics and things like that at our downtown facility. They just started.
Oh, my bad. I said Mario Mason. It did Mario Flores. I don't know why I was thinking of Mario Mason. He's over in Jersey. He's a good dude, but and Flores is going to get pissed at me. He's going to call me up. Good. What the hell's the matter with you? But yeah, Mario's my guy, man. I love him. Sorry, Mario.
Yeah, yeah. There's the great wrestling community out this way. And I think just with expanding that, and finding that talent that's within the city of Detroit, I feel like it's untapped. I know they had their first state champion a couple years ago from Mumford High School. That was the Detroit public school system. That was their first state champ. So, and right now, just the excitement around wrestling within the city is really good. But yeah, a lot of outside help with the Metro Detroit area. Sending our kids out to camps and clinics, and they started the Metro Detroit Wrestling Association, which is a league that is now kind of encompassing everybody, and we're trying to grow that. So yeah, really, right now it seems like the only way is up for, especially the Detroit metro area.
Yeah, and a couple of years ago, did you take some of the kids out to the NCAA's there in downtown?
I took my son out. That was just that I used that as an opportunity for him and I just to go out there and check that out, which sparked his interest more. I've been trying to get him involved in it the last couple of years, and he's a baseball player, so he's been kind of reluctant to get in, and he hurt himself the first year. He was 5, and he dislocated a finger, and it was really hard for me to get him back on the mat, and I just kind of let the time, and now he's back on. He's part of our club that we started down in Hamtramck. So, he's it was really cool. But yeah,
I got to get up there for that, and it was really cool. And of course, I had to stop in the alleyway and have some mom spaghetti.
oh yeah, oh yeah. I had to stop over there. That long is always long. That's always long. We were there when
Yeah,
was it the week before the draft? There was a hockey game and baseball game. We were down there, and it was an hour wait just to get in. So I
and
passed out.
and it's the shittiest spaghetti you'll ever eat. But there's something about eating M&M's mom spaghetti. I mean, it's just awful. But there's something about it. It comes out the window in a Chinese cup, and you usually have a beer or two in you, and that makes it wonderful, right? But it's by no means is it like this luxury Italian brand, right?
Yeah, no, no, not at all. Well, I think
So,
that's what
so
they're going for, I guess.
are you still involved with your nonprofit?
Yep, still working with the nonprofit. I've taken that and I've developed a mentor program, just based on the model that I use. Just that whole general philosophy of no bad youth, and I'm putting that into Beat the Streets and Divine Child, the Little League here. I'm still working with and some kids in the neighborhood and around my area that are kind of on that wrong path. I'm still taking um, still taking on. I hate to say those cases, but I mean it's really kind of the situation that we're in now. I'm looking at expanding that program and bringing on psychologists as kind of like a part-time help. But that's one of those long-term goals I think we chatted about before, about providing residential care for those individuals and kids that are aging out of group homes and foster care and things like that. And now we're kind of incorporating that with wrestling as well, of being kind of a foundation to help teach these life skills and a lot of these different things that so many kids lack that are coming from broken homes and really traumatic situations. And I know it worked for me personally, and I've seen it work with so many others where once you get a kid into the wrestling room and they're consistently in there, you're going to see that transition into their real life, and you're going to see that success replicate, whether it's school or personal relationships or work or whatever. So, really integrated now wrestling with that model of no bad youth, and the kids that we're seeing it's working. It really works,
Yeah,
which is really
I was
cool.
gonna ask. We did this in 2020 or 2021. I forget. And you had just kind of gotten into your nonprofit. Are you starting to see now the success stories? Like, are you starting to see kids that are ending up in college or ending up graduating from high school or getting a diploma or going off to the military, getting a career? Are you starting to see some of that where they're coming back and now they can help you kind of tell the story?
Yeah, for sure. I actually just got off the phone the other day with a couple of my kids that graduated from DC a few years ago, and one's in college doing great. Talking about already coming back and coaching and getting involved with education and wanting to give back. Another one's out working full time, looking at different things that he could do with either coaching or his own personal education. So they're doing well, and they're wanting to come back. They're wanting to get back on the mat and talk to the kids and help run the youth practices and things like that. So it's but wrestling's always been like that. That's the really cool thing is we thrive on alumni coming back and helping out and getting back. And, it's never been a problem, saying that's the thing pretty much universal with all programs and I think that's also more evidence to show how important wrestling is and, how much of a difference that we can make and by expanding these programs. I think you're starting to see that, more and more. So I think the popularity of wrestling has just exploded over the last few years, especially in the girls wrestling, which is really nice to see. I can't probably speak enough, and this audience already knows they live it every day. So
yeah, the girls are definitely blowing up. I mean, I was talking with Reese from Iowa last night on the show, and we were talking about the growth of the girls, and then just how exciting they make it when you go to a girls tournament, or you go and watch girls at Fargo, or you go just to a weekend club girls practice. I mean, they are just happy. They're having so much fun. The camaraderie, the friendship, the closeness. They beat the crap out of each other on the mat like boys do, but afterwards just the same. It's fun. It's loving. They're on the fence rooting each other on. I remember when they got sanctioned here a couple of years ago, and you'd see the girls matches happening. You'd look along the fence and you'd see a bunch of friends, and each one of them from a different program, but they're all there cheering on that girl on the mat or both those girls on the mat that are competing, just because that's what they do, and it's pretty cool. But are you getting to a point now with your club and your program where are you having kids that want to make the national team and travel with like a Mario and get out there to a Fargo or make one of the dual teams? Are you starting to see kids be able to do that now?
The interest is there, yeah, for sure, and the dedication is there to the sport, coming in, getting on the mat, putting in the work. It's there. I know at DC, I've got a handful of kids now that are starting to get to the point where I'm feeling comfortable and they're feeling confident with starting to compete with those guys. We still got some work to do, and here in the next couple of years, we'll get there. It's just finding those kids, and it's a culture thing. If you don't, a lot of times if you're not raised up in it, you kind of, it's hard to take a freshman in high school or an eighth grader and throw them into a hardcore wrestling room in a practice. And, I had kids come day one. They're like, nope, it's not for me. Can't do it. And that's respectable, and it's not for everybody, but, if you want to compete at that level, it takes a certain type of dedication, to get there. And you can learn the skill, you can learn the moves, but, that determination, also just getting through, and that grit, it's special, and I'm seeing it, and it's spreading. More and more kids are catching it, and they're, once they got that first district championship a few years ago at DC, they saw, I'm like, all right, now it's time to take it up a notch. Now it's time to level up, and you can see which ones that kind of, they were like, I don't know about this. We had some kids that, really hesitant with it, but we had others that just dove right into it, and they're, reaching out, hey, coach, what do I have to do to get better? Where do I have to go? It's like, you got to keep wrestling through the spring and through the summer. You got to do it. You're never going to get there if you don't go to freestyle camps and clinics. You're not going to do it if you're sleeping in at 6:30, 7 o'clock when we have practices, like 6:30 practice, 7 a.m. practice in the summer. Like, yeah, that's that's late. There's had practices at 5:30, 6 a.m. We're getting there. So it's like baby steps.
I always see Bo Bassett posting the picture every morning. It says 4:45 and says Machine Gun Mindset. And he's obviously, he's turned out not to be that bad of a wrestler. So he's doing something special. But you guys I'd imagine you have rooms. I know my son will go up to Michigan. His girlfriend's family have a place up there. So last summer he went up for a week or two, and then while he's there, he'll go over to Mario, and he'll wrestle in Mario's room. Like down here, we had like the Spartan RTC puts on these rumbles every weekend or every other weekend where kids can go and they just line up along the wall and they get high level partners and practice for 5 hours or whatever. Is there something like that in Detroit? Is there that Saturday room that you guys say, okay, there's these, go there on Saturday or spend a day there, and do you encourage that? Obviously, you want your kids to get better. I know there's some unfortunately, there's some coaches out there that they frown upon their kids going to another room, fear of coaches taking their kids and things like that. And unfortunately, I'm sure that shit happens, but you have to give them opportunities to grow, right? So, do you have rooms like that, or you as a coach? You know, we see a lot of coaches travel across the state just to come up here with a van full of kids to do those rumbles.
Yeah, I always encourage my guys to go to other rooms and get that soak up that knowledge from other coaches and other wrestlers. To me, that's the way that I learned. Wrestling has always been a really tight knit sport. And don't usually have too much of that. But and so up here, there's rooms all over the place, especially the Beat the Streets. There's so many different programs, and I encourage anyone that's interested in either getting involved with Beat the Streets, either in their location, and they can take a look at the website and see if they're near one. I mean, they're everywhere: New England, New York, Pennsylvania, California. I mean, they're everywhere: Michigan, Chicago. And so there's rooms, about a dozen different programs throughout the city that are holding practices every day at all different times. Throughout the summer, we're going to have pretty much all day open rooms available. We're going to have different kind of camp and clinic style practices, and then have days where it's just open room from like 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, for kids to come in. But from everywhere, and we're even encouraging kids that are not affiliated with Beat the Streets that are around, or they can still come in.
Yeah,
and
I
it's open
think
to them.
did I see a flyer? I think I saw a flyer. You have some camps coming in or some kids coming in. Are you able to reach out to with Cliff Keen being involved now? Are you able to get some of their club guys to come in and run some practices and spend some time with your kids?
Yeah, they do a great job. I mean, we're partnered with them, and so they're always sending guys over, and we're communicating. They help support us. Mark Trella, is one of the guys that at the top that heads this thing up, and they've been doing a great job in supporting all the programs. And so yeah, they send guys out all the time, which is really awesome. It's obviously depending on availability and things like that, but we've got stuff lined up throughout the summer that those guys are going to come out to. We're looking at trying to get out there as well, taking a group of kids out there. We have our national qualifier on June 1st, and then we're taking that team out to Boston for the Boston camp and duels with all the Beat the Streets national teams. And then from there, we're going to be scheduling, and that'll be our national team for the year. So that'll qualify them for any tournaments that we take them to, whether it be Fargo or, I'm in talks right now with some coaches out in Nebraska about doing something.
Oh, it's awesome. So I see on your shirt, it says Owen Strong.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Talk about that.
Yeah, I don't know if you're familiar with that at all. I know it made national headlines in some places last year. Owen was one of our wrestlers at Divine Child, and he was in a tragic swimming accident last summer. He broke his neck, and right now he's in a wheelchair and working rehab. He was one of our captains, one of our leaders, our regional qualifier last year. Great kid. And he leader not only in the wrestling room but on the football team and on campus. Just one of those kids that you hear coaches talk about that. If I just had another couple of them or a team full of this game, we would be. He was special. He is special. And he's he's grinding out. He went back to school at semester, and it's one of those situations where obviously he's lucky to be alive. But every day he's showing progress, and he's doing his rehab, and he's got a warrior mindset, and he's tough. And you meet and talk to him, and it's almost like the vibe that he gives off and talking. It's almost like nothing happened. And he's just he's just powering through it. And the community has really rallied behind him, and he's doing great.
Man,
he's still captain on our team.
Let's get him on the show.
Yeah. I can reach out.
Let's tell his story.
Yeah.
That would be fun. I like doing stuff. I had a young man on my show again, Jeremy Garcia, just last week, and or the week before. So I had him on my show back when I had you on my show, and he was only a year out of a car accident where he was laid up and told he would never walk, wrestle, let alone live again, right? And fast forward to today, he's back on a wrestling mat and he's training and he's doing better and he's going to college and he's living down in Puerto Rico with his family and um, just a cool story. And stories like that in our community is awesome. I had a gentleman on that was in college out in the Midwest who I had him on during our time where he went through he caught something. He didn't realize what it was, and they had to helicopter him out. He was in a coma, and he came back, and now he's coaching, and he's doing great, and he made it back to the national level. So, man, stories like that to see him now. Did they? Is it where he had to be in a halo, and they kind of he wore that? Like my dad broke his neck in a swimming accident when I was I don't know, man, I must have been 8, 9, 10, something like that. But it wasn't a paralyzed situation. It was a situation where he broke certain vertebrae, so they put him in a halo, which
Hmm.
sucks too. And they put him in a halo, and then obviously that had to get him back together, and he went through that process. Then he went through rehab, then he went through this, and today he's 70 something, and he's fine. But well, not totally fine, but he'd tell me
Yeah, yeah,
he would say you're an asshole, Dan. but but yeah. So man, I hope he's doing well. I'm glad he's obviously alive, and I saw the shirt, and I see when I look you up, there's always that O, and and good for him, man. What a good story. And I'd imagine his wrestling mindset helped him get through a lot of that. And um, God bless him. Yeah, I mean, you guys
yeah,
had a
yeah.
lot go on a couple of years ago. I mean, I remember I was working with Spartan, and I still do. I still support Spartan a lot, but I'm not employed by them anymore. Uh, but we sent up, I don't know, thousands of free race tickets to the high school up there that was had the situation where kids were killed and the shooting
Oh,
and,
I've heard. Yeah,
uh, so yeah, and we invited the whole school out to the races. So man, just some people out there just are crazy. But good for Owen, man. I'm glad. Does he show up to practice still? Does he cheer on the kids? Does he still get involved in that way?
yeah. He showed up a couple practices. He came to some meets. Came to our regional tournament. He's around. And now this will be what going to complete that first year since the accident last year. And I chatted with him, and I know he wants to be more involved as rehab goes and he keeps making progress. So,
Uh,
but he'll always be on the team. He's a captain still.
Good for him.
So
Is he
yeah,
starting to
he's
move? Is he starting to move some of his arms and his
mhm,
legs and things? Obviously,
mhm.
medicine has come a long way, right? I mean, it used to be that happens to you, that's it, your wheelchair for the rest of your life, right? And now they're able to do certain things that get them up and running. So, man, that's awesome.
Yep. Yeah, that progress is made. I know they're talking about just those small muscle fibers around the vertebrae and things like that strengthening up, and it could be and everybody's different in their recovery. But just the fact that yeah, now he can move arms, they have him standing up on his own. I mean, there's those incremental little baby steps going up, and you mentioned that that young man who's back on the mat. I mean, I see that, and we can envision that, and we pray and hope for that for him, as well, no matter how long it takes. But it's definitely something that, again, Lord works in mysterious ways, and so, he's a good kid. He's a special kid. So if anyone's going to do it, it would be Owen, sure.
Man, good for him. Yeah, actually, Jeremy was supposed to compete in the trials for beach wrestling down in Puerto
Mm-hmm.
Rico last week, but they had a big storm come in, so they had canceled the beach wrestling. But just to see him back in there and grinding, and and his motor skills are coming back. I mean, you can when he speaks to you, he's thinking before he speaks, and everything's coming out a lot better. So, yeah, I mean, just to see progress in people like that, that's tremendous. And it's guys like you that are being around him and supporting him, and kids like this really need support from gentlemen like yourself because um, I tell people, I think to be a coach or a teacher, I mean, you really got to love the kids and you really got to be involved in the kids. And obviously, no, we know it's a wins and losses business. I mean, you're judged on wins and losses, but I think you're also judged on kids' grades and kids' diplomas and how many you're getting to college and or military or to a technical school or just becoming solid adults and um, maybe sometimes during the wins and losses we forget that, right?
Yeah, for sure. When I look back at my coaching career over the last 20 years, I look at, a lot of the kids that I still keep in touch with or, follow on social media that occasionally reach out and, I reach out to and, um, they're having families and, and creating businesses and, like you said, just being a positive member of society, going out there and doing good things. And, a lot of them are now getting back involved with coaching themselves. And, so that's when I look at it. That's what I see. Yeah, there's all the state championships and, you have the kids that go on and all Americans and take and going to college and all that. That's all great, but a lot of the off the mat stuff is kind of what I think what a lot of us look at and are most proud of.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. So listen, I mean, I'll put this into my Premiere Pro and I'll get a little banner around it so we can stick it up on YouTube and I'll share it with you so you can share it through your platforms and everything out there in Detroit, Michigan. Is there is there something you'd like to say as far as uh, you know, we need help with this, or how can you get involved with Beat the Streets, or how can you help with your foundation and getting kids back on and do you want to try and get involved with our youth that for hire to do camps and coaches and even maybe not that I see a lot of these camps now they'll hire somebody for a session where it's mindset training or maybe it's life coaching or maybe it's doing something like that in a different setting uh, and that's all part of the camp, right? So is that stuff that you're getting into and how can people get involved in that stuff with you?
Yeah, all of the above of what you said. As far as if anybody is wanting to get involved with Beat the Streets, especially with here in Detroit, obviously jump on the website and reach out. You could reach out to Carrie, our CEO, or Robert, our program director, or myself. We have plenty of opportunities within the city, and we're always in need of support, especially with our clubs growing. And so I would love for anyone to reach out, Divine Child. We're always looking for more support as well. Um, and as far as myself, with my nonprofit, with No Bad Youth, and with saying, we're going out and doing just what you said, and going into different schools, and not even just necessarily wrestling, but working with different age groups and doing a lot of the motivational training and doing the character development and things like that. So I am very open to that. I've got working right now on getting a couple books published. One children's book from my daughter, and then also my memoir. Working on getting those out. So getting out and sharing my story is something that I'm willing and open to do. If anybody interested in bringing me on, they can get a hold of me either through nobadyouth.com or they can get a hold of me through Beat the Streets Detroit as well.
Yeah, and obviously someone like yourself who came up through the system and had definitely a tough upbringing and to be able to now turn around and give it back. A lot of kids that go through what you went through don't turn out the way you do, right? So good for you to show up now and do what you're doing.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's and I wouldn't have been able to do it without the people that I've come across in this sport and doing kind of the line of work that I've been doing. Even after as an adult, this has been a great support system for me. So it's giving back is really I think what we're here to do, and so I'm always open to it. Yeah. So, but
Yeah, man.
we are in the middle of that, get coming up on that summer season, and so we will, we're going to be having some fundraisers and things like that. That I'd love to get out there and share with you, and keep in touch, and
Yeah,
love to keep working again. Sure.
let's make sure we don't do this. We don't wait another 4 years to do this again.
Yeah, for sure, man. We can, we can connect after and, go from there.
It's awesome, man. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming on again.
I appreciate you bringing me on, man. Take care. We'll talk to you soon.